Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvasesha Sunyavari Paskachada Satarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Gadara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Brinda. Ram, I'm sorry to bother you, but is that cup with water there? Thanks. So we are picking up from where we left off yesterday. And of course, the name of this presentation, the title and theme, is the significance of Srila Prabhupada. So if you look, half cup is all I need, please. If you ever look at a telephone line, as you see here in this picture, there will be a series of lines. But over the course of time, as the signal traverses that line, just by friction of going through the wire, it reduces, it becomes weaker. And so periodically there will be a booster pack. I don't know the official name of it, but it takes the signal and rejuvenates it, and woof, sends it out strong again. And you'll see that on any long line, telephone line, power line, I don't know about power line, but telephone line, you will see those periodic booster packages that re-energize the initial signal. Same signal, but rejuvenated, repower, whatever the word is. Huh?
Amplified.
Okay, we could say amplified. So we know that there's many gurus. In fact, not all are listed in the Bhagavad Gita, the list of the Sampradaya, because it would become too lengthy. But there are periodic special personalities that infuse the signal and send it out again. So Prabhupada, as the founder Acharya, was one such great personality. Who not just, there's many gurus, as it says in the GBC resolutions, that Prabhupada is the preeminent Siksha Guru for all other gurus in ISKCON and for the eternity of the life of ISKCON. Within the house of ISKCON, Prabhupada is the founder Acharya, and he took, as we've talked about, the message of all the other four Vaishnava Sampradayas, synchronized, or what is the word, assimilated into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then he's carrying that forth. So he has a special position in that regard. So Prabhupada is, this ISKCON and Prabhupada is an empowered branch from the trunk of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. The position of the founder Acharya, he's the Siksha Guru, as we were saying, for all ISKCON devotees, including ISKCON gurus. In fact, ISKCON gurus draw their legitimacy, their potency, from the fact that they are surrendered to Srila Prabhupada. That is the very root. Like you can have a big, beautiful tree, you cut off its taproot, and the thing will dry up and die. So they, in and of themselves, they do not have any particular, well, they're devotees of Krishna and all of that, and they have their knowledge and learning and charisma. But in the ultimate issue, their potency comes from their connection and surrender to Srila Prabhupada. His instructions are the essential teachings of all ISKCON devotees. Srila Prabhupada's books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. 3 different people have confirmed this: Harisari, Harikesh, and Ramaswar. I'll just narrate one because of the time factor. Harikesh, early in the morning, by early in the morning we mean anywhere from 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, till 7 o'clock, whatever, when Prabhupada would go on his walk. Sometimes he would call his servants into his room for something. One time a bug, Prabhupada said, there was some Sandesh, a little bit of Sandesh on Prabhupada's desk, usually give him a little energy for his translating. Prabhupada broke off a piece, gave it to Shruti Kirti, and said, this bug, he's been trying to climb up the wall all night long. Please, take this Sandesh, pick him up. He must be very tired. Prabhupada said, he must be very tired, he must be very hungry. So take this Sandesh and take him outside. So anyway, they would be called in for different reasons. So, in Vrindavan, those of you know who the layout of Prabhupada was sitting in his darshan room, doing some translating work. It's early in the morning. So Harikesh wanted Prabhupada to know that he was awake and thinking that Prabhupada would invite him in and he'd get some sweet katha. Sure enough, so he was he was ostensibly cleaning that front, that little reception room, and he was moving the desk around. He was making a little bit of noise so Prabhupada would know, not, banging around, but some noise so Prabhupada would know. Sure enough, Prabhupada rang his bell, called him in. Prabhupada told him, why are you making so much noise? He said, you don't understand. He said, I have to choose every single word carefully. These books will stand as the law books for humankind for the next 10,000 years. And in another event, another occurrence, he said the same thing to Ramaswara, and another time he said the same thing to Harisari. So it's not just some random, it's Prabhupada said it with deep meaning. His emphasis, his mood, his standards, his practice should remain the measure of ISKCON in perpetuity. There was a devotee in Los Angeles initiated by Guru X, but he was offering something he'd cooked up to Guru Y. So Srivastava, he said, you're initiated by this guru, why are you offering to that guru? He said, well, this is made with chocolate, and my guru doesn't eat chocolate, but this guru does. So, shopping until we find someone who tells us what we like, or I'm not advancing. It's very easy. If I find myself not advancing at the rate and to the degree of those around me or as I want for myself, now I can do two things. Well, I could do a number of things, but in this particular case, I can conclude, well, like Prabhupada said, you try to light a fire, but they keep pouring water on it. You try to move a boat, but you don't pull up the anchor. I can conclude that the cause is me. And I need to study my heart. Am I committing offenses? Is my sadhana? So many different things are there. I can take the weight, the responsibility of accelerating my spiritual life myself, or what's an easier path? Blame it on others. I can say, well, it's ISKCON, it's the temple president, it's, I'm not getting the highest nectar. This is a famous thing. We had a lot of people who went to different ISKCON, not a lot, but you could say proportionally, a number of people went to other different Gaudiya branches or this or that because they were struggling in their own spiritual, they were having trouble following the regular principles, they were having trouble with their sadhana, they weren't getting any taste. And they thought, well, it must be ISKCON, it must be Srila Prabhupada. The ISKCON is the blue collar wing of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. I'm going to Vrindavan where I can hear about the higher rasa, learn my Siddhadeya, what is my rasa in the spiritual world. So many things. It's so much rubbish. One of them even said, one of these so-called gurus trying to, because what else can you do if you want to pry people away from Srila Prabhupada? You have to create some dissatisfaction. My father told me one of the basic business models for advertising, create a need, then fill it. Person's perfectly happy. You see kids, they're playing, they're perfectly happy. They see some advertisement on television or cable or whatever it is. Oh, I want, gimme, gimme, gimme. Previously, they were happy. So you created a desire, and then you said, oh, by the way, we just happen to have the thing to solve it. Create a desire, then fill it. So it's very interesting that in Vrindavan, Prabhupada installed Krishna Balaram. Prabhupada was only up to the level of Sakya Ras, friendship, where I can take you to Madhurya Ras. And they still say this kind. It's deeply offensive. And it's only, I mean, what do they know about, Lord Brahma is praying, let me become a blade of grass outside of Vrindavan, so that those on the way to Vrindavan will step on my head and I'll get some dust. And this person is saying, well, it's only Sakya Ras. I mean, that right there, you can understand what is the actual level of realization. And they don't note that Prabhupada was a transcendental marketer. He knew how to attract the conditioned souls. Prabhupada said, there's so many Radha Krishna temples in Vrindavan, let me install Krishna Balaram, and people will come. Oh, it's something different. And respecting the Leela Shtala, or the place, Prabhupada said, Raman Reti, every afternoon on the way back from Govardhan Hill, Krishna Balaram and the cows come through that area. Those that have the vision to see can understand. This is Raman Reti, this sweet, pleasing, soft sands, and Krishna and the cowherd boys come and play through here. So Prabhupada installed Krishna Balaram. So from a transcendental marketeering angle, from a deep realization of the actual place, Prabhupada installed Krishna Balaram. And they don't note the fact that Prabhupada installed Radha Krishna deities all over the world. So many Radha Krishna temples. So the whole thing is just so completely bogus. But that's what they try to do. They try to say, well, what the process that you've got, what you're getting in ISKCON, what you're getting from Prabhupada is insufficient. And I met a guy one time in the parking lot. I was doing books, and he was selling stolen watches. And just like the movie, he pulled up in his coat. He had all the stolen watches. Like a Rolex, So, hey, well, that's just Sakya Ras. I happen to have Madhurya Ras right here. I can tell you your Siddha day. I can tell you who you are in the spiritual world. Run. If someone presents that to you, run as fast as you can away from them. So, there it is. The position of founder Acharya, Siksha Guru for all. Well, you can read that. We need to move on. Prabhupada was humility personified. I told that story yesterday. Although he's in that, this is a setup for what I'm going to show next. When they said all ISKCON devotees leave the terminal, nobody got up except for Srila Prabhupada. I told you about hanging the painting in his room. Prabhupada said, what, for service you can stand on my head, because we were afraid we were going to bump him. Trivikram Maharaj told me that Prabhupada was giving those lectures at Conway Hall in Boston. I think it was either Conway Hall or it was what's the one in... No, what's the one in London? Is that Conway Hall? Yeah, so powerful, just, smashing. People were coming up, questions and answers. Prabhupada said, you like me like a lion, I will be like a lion, So Trivikram Maharaj, young brahmachari at the time, was massaging Prabhupada and he felt like he was getting a fighter, like Muhammad Ali ready for boxing in the ring, how they do it, they get them massage, loosen up all the muscles. And he said, oh, you're the best servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You are the on the front lines for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You are, all, and sweet glorification of Prabhupada. But that was his mood, And Prabhupada was silent. And after 3 or 4 of these, effusive praises, Prabhupada slammed his hand on the mat and said, no. He said, I am simply the servant of my Guru Maharaj. Prabhupada didn't want to hear that, So many examples. I told this story yesterday about Prabhupada being stunned in ecstasy. And Prabhupada's response was, the devotees asked Karanda and Dayanidhi Prabhupada, what do we do when you go into trance like this? Prabhupada's response, his first response was apologetic. He said, I don't do it very often. These others are sticking chilies up their nose so they can shed tears. Anyway, so Prabhupada was humility personified. However, he was like a lion on this point as another act of his kindness and concern. Prabhupada's position as founder Acharya, I don't know if I mentioned it, but maybe in one of these slides. These are the running lamps that are for a plane for landing at night. If I go out and move these around, or I've got a different idea, or I'm going to make a paisley pattern, or, oh, let's combine all the colors, what will happen to the plane's landing? If I move those lights around? They'll crash. So the instructions of Srila Prabhupada are perfectly crafted to guide us back home, back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Radha Krishna, of Radha Giridhari. Perfectly crafted. If I go out there and move the lights around, change the instructions, throw in this, take out that. So, do I mention here? Let's see. Okay, very good. Prabhupada showed up in Detroit. So let me preface it. My point is that Prabhupada for himself was humility personified. A number of the Prabhupada's cooks, and servants who were around Srila Prabhupada have commented, when Prabhupada came into the temple room, when Prabhupada sat on the Vyasasana, when Prabhupada was writing his purports, he was the founder Acharya of ISKCON. He was the representative, the Senapata Bhakta of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the general of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. But his default mode was as a humble Vaishnava. Very humble, very, just happy to be with the devotees. That was his mood. Govardhan asked Prabhupada, when you go before the deities, what do you pray for? This was in Detroit. Prabhupada said, I'm praying to Radharani that I won't fall down. So such a humble person. But in his role as a teacher, Prabhupada says, if you're going to dance, don't pull the veil. If you're on the stage, oh, but I'm being modest. Well, why are you on the stage? If you are going to teach, you have to sometimes chastise and correct the disciple to make sure they stay on course. So, when Prabhupada showed up in Detroit, it said, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, founder of ISKCON. Prabhupada stopped, looked at the sign, and said, Founder Acharya. And Govardhan, that, we all readed the sign, so when Prabhupada came back from his morning walk the next day, it said Founder Acharya, and Prabhupada checked. Prabhupada stopped and looked. Nodded to Govardhan. He was appreciative. When Prabhupada showed up arrived in New Vrindavan, they had that big silo. Later on I can tell you a nice story about that silo in Kirtanananda. But they had that big silo, right? On it was paint. Remember that big blue silo? It said, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, founder Acharya ISKCON. Prabhupada stopped and he read it very carefully and turned to Kirtananda and told him thank you. On his books, he insisted that it say, wasn't there a set of books that didn't have founder Acharya? How did that go down? He was furious. Now why? On the letterhead, his letterhead, he insisted on founder Acharya. Now here is someone who default mode, practical experience, repeatedly is one of the most tender-hearted, humbled Vaishnavas. And yet, because he was drilling into us. He knew our propensity, our natural, spontaneous proclivity to go in the wrong direction. He said, your problem with your Western, you're always creating something new. What is it Prabhupada said, like the circus? Walk on your hands, bark like a dog, but do something new. If a man barks like a dog, people will buy tickets to see it. Dogs are barking all over the place, but so this propensity to change. Nayana Param offering a sparkler instead of a flower. I mean, that's kind of innocent and humorous, But our propensity to change, to add, subtract. If you jerry-rig the recipe, you're not going to get the result. We had a devotee who was making a cake here one time. It turned out flat as a chapati and no taste. I said, what happened? He said, well, we didn't have wheat flour, so I used rice flour. Well, we didn't have baking powder, I used baking soda. Well, the recipe called for eggs, we don't use the eggs, so I put in, 4 gallons of yogurt. Well, okay. No wonder. So, Prabhupada insisted, as it says here on flyers and posters, letterhead, it's his duty. Because that position of found the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, and not just what's in the books, sure, but our mode of worship. The focus is Prabhupada stressed book distribution. He stressed outreach in the mood of Prahlad Maharaj, where you don't find the devotees, our ISKCON devotees or the great Vaishnavas. They're not just in the Himalayas, Shanti Shanti. They are on the front lines delivering the conditioned souls. One man said to Prabhupada, the well doesn't go to the thirsty go to the well. In other words, why are you out on the street Harinam, distributing books? Why do you build these big temples in cities? It's such great effort. You should just be, and it's sincere will find you. Prabhupada said that's not very compassionate. Suppose Ramapati is dying of thirst. He's dragged himself this far. He's in the desert. I'm sitting here with a jar of water. I say, hey, thirsty don't go to the well, doesn't go to the thirsty. Thirsty come to the well. Come on, No, you naturally, out of compassion, you get up and give it to him. So this idea that, So Prabhupada's mood, Prabhupada's focus. How did Prabhupada tell? To worship Radha and Krishna in awe and reverence, in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. We don't dress him in, with so many different ways. Okay. We have to, I don't want to take too long, but what time is it? We don't have that clock. Oh, we do have the clock? Where is it? Where's that clock? Do you mind getting it? Does it have the right time on it? Okay. So Prabhupada said, talking about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his relationship to his disciples, to Prabhupada's disciples, he said the grandfather is even more merciful than the father. So all of you, people say, oh, I missed the boat, I didn't get to associate with Prabhupada. I'm not going to minimize the value of Prabhupada's association, but so many people were associated with Prabhupada and fell away, blooped. And how much association did we actually get? Dharma Setu, me, Dravida Prabhu, how much association did we actually get with Srila Prabhupada? So what does that mean to associate with Srila Prabhupada? If we want, I always use this example, I'm going to use it again. If we want to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our modern time and place, what do we do? What book do we turn to? Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's the PhD study for understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, so many great souls. It was their solace reading. Prabhupada on the way over, 2 heart attacks, seasickness, his Prabhupada says, my source of life, my shelter is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Who was Chaitanya? So if we want to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we go to Chaitanya Charitamrita for associating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita? Other than Dravida and Dharmaseta Prabhu. Who wrote it? Krishnadas Kaviraj. Was Krishnadas Kaviraj part of Lord Chaitanya's Leela? Was he a direct associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? No. He was a disciple of Raghunath Das Goswami. So although he did not have direct association, we go to his writings for that direct association, the most intimate form. So Prabhupada is completely available, not just theoretically, but, and I'm not going Ritvik on you. If I want to read, I wear glasses. The glasses are in between me. You could say it's not a direct experience. I've got the book, I've got my eyes, and I've got the glasses. So you can say Balaram, as a nice example, very sincere devotee, smart devotee. And he's directly associating with Prabhupada, he's getting Prabhupada's mercy, but it's via the lens, via the medium of his Guru Maharaj, Giriraj Maharaj. Same thing with Damodar Kumar. Same with all it. Same with Janardana, Vaisheshika Prabhu, Radhanath Maharaj. They are the lens. Without them, you can't see it. Everything's blurry, fake. You don't know what's going on. You put it on Ramapati, Jayapataka Maharaj, then you can see very clearly. So, anyway, there it is. So, the Prabhupada is that we're not going Ritvik on you. That's not what we're talking about. But my point is that each and every one, for generations forward, can have a direct association with Prabhupada. But how do you do it? Prabhupada said, I'm in my books. I was in Chicago. And it went on for about 30 minutes. Devotees asked questions. Well, I was also, I'll just tell you the story. Bookcase was here, Prabhupada sitting here, everybody else is out here. Devotees would ask questions. Prabhupada would say, first canto Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, this verse, read the purport. There was the answer. Someone would ask another question. We'd say, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, this chapter, read the purport. There was the answer. He did it about 5 different times. I was amazed how well Prabhupada knew his own books. I was impressed by that. But also, all the answers for the questions were right there in the books, and Prabhupada was making that point. You want to associate with me? You want to know my instructions? Read my books. Listen to Prabhupada's lectures. We are so fortunate. The media that we've got, the books, the lectures, it's profound. So take advantage of it. We want to hear exotic titles on higher topics. Oh, I want to hear. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila. You want higher. There's nothing higher than that. Krishna book. 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. The highest Leelas are there. I have been reading Bhagavad Gita, just as an example, for almost 50 years now. Every time I read the Gita, it's something fresh. As you advance, and I'm trying to do that, but all of us experience, as we grow in spiritual life, Prabhupada says like a diamond. You turn it, it catches the light differently. As the same purport, the same commentary, as we advance, we see it in a deeper light. So Prabhupada's books, everything is in there. The highest, fullest understanding of the most intimate Madhurya Leela, Vipralamba, ecstasy and separation, it's in there. But as we become advanced, we can experience it. We can understand it. It's not that it's not there, it's there. So Prabhupada tells a story that there was I remember I said about the guy with a chili up his nose and shedding tears, oh, Radha Krishna. So they do, you go to these Bhagavad Shaptahas, they're speaking, and they start crying about Radha and Krishna. So there was one man, typical sadhu, so-called, well, let's give him the credit as a sadhu, but, Sahajiya sadhu, or, Kanista. And he was talking, Radha, Krishna, oh, Radha. And he noticed in front of the audience, in the front, there was one old, and he had a nice, turban and saffron cloth and a little beard. So he, fit the profile. And he noticed this lady was crying when he was talking about Radha. She was crying. So after thinking he might get some dakshin or a new disciple and milk a little money out of her or whatever, he went up and began chit-chatting. I noticed that you were appreciating my katha very much, that whenever I mentioned the name of Radharani, you were crying. She said, yes, I was deeply moved. He said, why? What was it? She said, as a little girl I grew up, I had a goat named Radha, and she had a little beard on her. And whenever you would shake your beard and say, Radha, I was thinking about my goat and how much I missed it. So, what is the level of realization? We should not be certain. Prabhupada said, first deserve, then desire. Krishna will reveal within the heart. What is it? Sarvasya chaham hridistani visto matasmiti jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna within the heart is Chaitanya Guru, will reveal everything. When we deserve it, then Krishna will give us the desire and the means. But don't just be like some foolish goat. And this we already talked about. This we talked about. This we talked about. There you have it. This is, Prabhupada calls it the mystery of the Sampradaya. That all, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Well, throughout Bhagavad Gita, where was, we hear Bhagavad Gita, were we on the battlefield?
No.
Where is Bhagavad Gita actually narrated? Who's it narrated by? Sanjaya. And where is Sanjay? He's speaking to blind Dhritarashtra. And Prabhupada said he was saying, Prabhupada calls it spiritual television or what does he call it? I think he calls it spiritual television within his heart. So the point is that, and Prabhupada says in one of the purports, introductory, the 18th chapter, I've got to go back and look for it. But Prabhupada makes the point that although the experience, he was not directly on the battlefield, by the mercy of his spiritual master Vyasadeva, Sanjaya was able to directly experience. So all of these things, Krishna's Leelas, the deepest, the Yasha Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tata Goro, isn't it? Tashaiti Katatahiyata Prakashanta Mahatmanaha. By surrender to the great souls, all the purports of the Vedas are revealed. We're almost done. Prabhupada said, I don't know exactly why I have this slide in here, but it's a nice one. So the reading of Prabhupada's books, reading in the Vedic literature, everything becomes revealed. And I think that's it. Oh, therefore, I'm saying, therefore read Prabhupada's books, read the Srimad Bhagavatam, read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is light in the age of Kali. It's there in our hands. So we can end there. And what time is it?
8:20.
Well, let's end there, because I was going to, anyone have, oh, wait, we're not done. We have a review. So, what did we learn? I like this bit. What? Devotees are offering some excuse, but I was not one to buy excuses. When Prabhupada showed up, Prabhupada had been traveling for some time. I was in LA, Prabhupada was there for 3.5 months, solid, every day, when I was a bhakta in LA. Then Prabhupada went traveling, he came back for another 3.5 months, and I was there in LA. I was the gardener. They told me, don't mow the lawn in front. It used to be just grass lawn. They had some kind of hippie idea, we don't want to harm the lawn, and, dogs run free, why can't we? Who knows why? They had, I forget what it was. There was some theory, and it took too long, so we didn't mow the lawn. Prabhupada showed up, got out of his car, called over Dayananda, why don't you mow the lawn? He gave his reasons. Prabhupada looked up and down the street, and there used to be all single-family homes, then now it's apartments. It's all Prabhupada said, they're all managing their lawns, they're all cutting their lawns. And the Prabhupada didn't buy it for a minute. Prabhupada said, you have to make the cover nice or they won't read the book. If the front of the temple doesn't look... Prabhupada said, people in the age of Kali are superficial. Previously, people wore torn clothing. Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, clean, neat, but it was old clothing. Rejected, he traded his, shawl for the, his fancy wool shawl for. Now people don't appreciate. Doesn't mean we have to wear gold studs and silk, but neat and clean. Otherwise, people won't respect it. So Prabhupada said you have to make the cover nice. So Prabhupada was just as a transcendental Sherlock Holmes, because we do have a few minutes. Prabhupada, Pundarik was his name. I think Pundarik. He's passed away. Pundarik's father was the editor for Playboy magazine, one of the original and most widely distributed porno magazines, naked women, at the time. We're talking 50s, 60s, 70s. Playboy magazine. Cover was a rabbit, and they have a rabbit was the logo, so we all know where they're going to go in their next life. So, but they had it. Prabhupada says if you take a dead rat and you try to perfume it, it's still a dead rat. So to perfume Playboy magazine, they would have an interview by some top politicians, intellectuals, top in the world. Must have paid them a ton of money, and they would be interviewed in the play, So Pundarik convinced his father that Playboy magazine, and it was the year of the Guru, so it made sense that to interview Prabhupada. Prabhupada didn't know what the magazine was. I was there in the room. So Pundarik's father's there. And he's coming to set up the interview with Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada asked them, I'm trying to think exactly how it went. Prabhupada said, so what is your magazine? What is the readership? Prabhupada asked. And they said something like 7 million people. So that was impressive. And Prabhupada said, what is the magazine? And Pundarik's father said, it's a men's magazine. Prabhupada asked, what does that mean, men's magazine? Prabhupada was immediately on the trail. He said, oh, it's photographs. Photographs. Prabhupada said, what kind of photographs? They said, photographs of women. Prabhupada, what kind of photographs of women? They said, women in various states of undress, he said. Prabhupada said, without clothing? Prabhupada was shocked. Prabhupada said, naked? Prabhupada said, oh, we cannot be in such a magazine. And Prabhupada said it with such disdain that, and then Prabhupada turned to him and Prabhupada said, you seem to be an educated man. Why are you involved with this magazine? And Prabhupada said it in such a kind way, but such a just shock, that the man's heart opened up. We were shocked. The man said, oh, I know, I'm trying to get another job. I mean, the man just like opened up. He gushed. He said, I know, I'm embarrassed. The man said, I graduated from Yale Journalism School. I mean, the whole guy just gushed that he was embarrassed. He was actually, they must have been paying him a ton of money, you know. And later on, Pundarik told me about 3 months later, he managed to get a job. He became the editor of that, New York Times magazine, their Sunday magazine. He got out of it. He got a good job. By Krishna's. Prabhupada said, no, you should not do this. You're an educated man. This is not good, you know. So Prabhupada was on the tree. He got the smell of it. And all of us know different pastimes. Prabhupada got on the trail. So here's Prabhupada. I said, what? So, all right, you sat through this thing. What did you learn? What is our ability to deliver ourselves? Can we deliver ourselves? No. What are the 2 questions that Sanatana Goswami asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What's one of them?
Who am I?
What is the other question? Why am I suffering? Who is fool number 1 and fool number 2? Someone else. Anyone know? Dharma Seder?
I'm fool number 1.
No. You're a wise man.
The person who speaks nonsense.
And okay, that's fool number 1. Who's fool number 2? The one who enthusiastically follows. What is the arc of the previous acharyas from Buddha to Lord Chaitanya? Lord Buddha. Who came next? Sankaracharya. Who came next? Ramanuja, then Madhvacharya, then it goes through the different, Madhvacharya, Ramanuja, and then we have Vishnu Swami, then we have Nibarkacharya, then we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And each of them adds something and moves people, moves this, just like Prabhupada. His job was to dissuade impersonalism. Nirvisesha Sunyavadi, because that was and remains the cultural lens. What is our job? In addition to that, life comes from matter. Consciousness is just brain function. This is what's blocking people from surrendering to Krishna. And the Vaishnavas do not run from these things. We challenge them, because that's our job. If we don't remove that speck in their eye, how will they understand Krishna consciousness? So Prabhupada took it up and came right to the West, to the heart of the thing, went to MIT and told them what is the difference between a living man and a dead man. And now MIT has a field of consciousness. And there's, the main thing is that consciousness is due to brain function. But there's about maybe 16 or 17%, let's say close to 20% in the field now of artificial intelligence who are now saying consciousness is an irreducible tattva. It is an element. It is something that's irreducible. It's something that exists in, we're not saying God, we're not saying the soul. All we're saying is consciousness is not brain function. And we don't know what it is, and we should start studying it. At MIT, where Prabhupada, Okay. So that we read. What is ours an ascending or descending process, Prabhus?
Descending.
Huh?
Descending.
Descending. Why? Other than Dravida. Why? Is it a descending? Yes. Because the finite cannot understand the infinite. Well done. It's revelatory. It has to come down to us. We cannot take the kingdom of God by storm. Prabhupada like that. That I already. Can anyone name the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas? Name one. Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya, Brahma Madhya Sampradaya. What Sampradaya are we in? I'm assuming that, let's just hold off and let the other Prabhus answer. Because we're assuming that you guys know. If our Diksha Guru says one thing and Srila Prabhupada clearly says another, who do we follow? This is a cornerstone question. We follow Srila Prabhupada. It's as simple as that. Now, and that doesn't mean that, our interpretation of A and our interpretation of B. If it's determined by the GBC, ISKCON's governing body, the ultimate managing authority of ISKCON, and that authority includes determining Siddhanta. If the GBC says, in spite of all efforts, your guru has gone off the rails, which does happen sometimes, we follow Srila Prabhupada. Okay, that's a tough one, but there it is. Whose books and lectures should be an essential part of our spiritual diet? Oh, I forget who it was. Someone said, and I know I don't want to say the wrong person, said, oh, Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is my favorite author. Anyone know what Prabhupada said? Prabhupada said, your second favorite author. And it's not, as I tried to establish in my own small way, Prabhupada was humility personified. But for teaching, we should, I'm reading, this and that book by the Goswamis. Fine. Have you finished all of Prabhupada's books? Oh, I only listen to tapes of my Guru Maharaj. You should definitely listen to tapes of your Guru Maharaj. But, do you also listen to tapes of Prabhupada? Okay. Now we're almost done. What is the meaning of the goat analogy? Anyone want to say, other than our 2 heroes here? Prabhupada disciples? Anyone else can say? Balaram.
Don't jump to higher topics without qualification.
Deserve than desire. Don't jump to higher topics without qualification. Don't assume that, I've got to go hear from somebody who's going to, even me, I'm, whatever. You go to Vrindavan, you hang out long enough, you get it. You get it in classes. Somebody told me that sound vibration, you have to hear. It's not reading, you have to hear. Therefore, Prabhupada's books will not do it. You have to find a Madhyama Adhikari and sit next to them, physical presence and hear. So read out loud, listen to the tape if you want. It's just so but you get it all the time. Okay, there we are. So thank you very much for sitting so patiently, and hopefully there's some fuller understanding of Prabhupada's position as a founder of Charya and why it matters. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.